So how was 2025 performance? Well, it was up 58%, based on our January approved filtered list and stocks which had rising MACDs within that. So if you remember, and we update this every month anyway, and you could take 12 months from January to December. It's just arbitrary. You could take February to February, but taking January to December because it's a calendar year, that was up 58%. And for those of you who don't know how we do things, we go through 10,000 securities. Anything less than that, and you don't have a sample size big enough to filter narrowly enough. If you're just focused on purely, say, New York Stock Exchange stocks or NASDAQ or European or UK, you just don't have enough data. We then look for companies which are undervalued with strong growth. We're not looking for journalistic or newsletter narratives, sexy though those are, and convincing though they can be. That is not of interest because the research shows, Daniel Kahneman, Eugene Fama, Richard Thaler, the Nobel Prize-winning research, plus the research out of Goldman Sachs Wealth Management, for which we use CROCI, cash return on capital invested, that companies with those characteristics that we want green across here. So none of these companies fit. So just to give you an idea why we need 10,000, because none of these are growing profits sufficiently to impact a higher rise in their stock prices consistently. Their cash return on capital invested in most of them doesn't also tick the lower valuation box. Equally, they might lack momentum. And you might say, well, surely you want to get into a company which is on its last legs, on the floor, absolutely rubbish before it rises. No, we're not in the fortune-telling business. We need to see evidence. And that evidence comes from not one of these factors, which is often mistaken by people, but it comes from all of those boxes being ticked. And even then, we can't guarantee all the stocks in the portfolio would go up. So to show you the best performers, that generated the 58% in total, because the worst performers were flat in 2025. And of course, 2025 was a particularly good year. And of course, on a risk-adjusted basis, you beat the S&P 500 or whatever other benchmark you want. Perhaps we didn't beat some esoteric crypto coin, but that's not what we cared about. What we wanted was, does it give us safety? So these were some of the companies. And because we don't look at narratives, did I know what each of these companies does? No, still don't know what some of them do. And were we lucky? Yeah, we were lucky there was a tailwind in the stock market. Were we lucky that they delivered given there was a tailwind? No, because the companies have board of directors whose job it is to do just that and nothing else, is to deliver. But the tailwind in the broader market, of course, helped. Well, wait a minute. If you don't look at narratives and stories, what are you looking at? Well, as I said, what we were looking at for 2025 was value, growth, income, cash flow, and then you leave it alone. Now, there's an infinite number of permutations of portfolios. If we look at the February to February one, which we can't because we're not into February yet, we could do an update for that and see what that was. We could do March to March. So be careful about just calendar years and getting too fixated upon those just because it's an arbitrary thing. Profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow. Those are three things all companies have. You want to narrow it down based on that. That's what we teach people on the Great Investments Program. It's what we teach clients. Were all clients in this portfolio? Of course not. Some would have joined later. There's other model portfolios for them, depending on when they joined, what they selected out of a filtered list. Some might have cherry-picked stocks and left out healthcare, or left out those with a volatility which was too high, or ones which historically had sharper drawdowns. We then run the numbers and create a bespoke model suited to their risk appetite and personality. But all the time we check value, growth, income, cash flow, Sortino, alpha, drawdowns, peak to trough, for instance. And that way, even if a client got a greater return because they took greater risk, or one got a lower return because they didn't want as much volatility, they're happy with what they have. You mustn't ever try and force feed clients into all having the same portfolios, because one client would panic at a slight fall. Another would say, well, wait a minute, this isn't moving fast enough for me. I want more leverage, for instance. So it has to be custom and bespoke, like a private bank delivers customization and something that's bespoke, which is why clients of private banks are rich and continue getting richer. If it is just mass market commoditized St. James's Place rubbish, just shove it into anything, scrape a load of fees at the top level, then shove it into more of our funds and scrape more fees at the bottom level, it is not bespoke to you. You are buying into something which has pre-existed and might have had its best years behind it in any individual stock. The fund manager doesn't know what your risk appetite is and whether it's suitable for you and the holdings are. And their job is to collect so much capital that they can't have invested in some of these companies because they might have ended up taking them over. Not the case for you. Or they might have house rules or prejudices against, I don't know, clothing companies or whatever other restrictions. You want to make sure you avoid all of that. So these are some, not all of the ones in the January 2025 approved filtered plus MACD portfolio. Like I said, in February, the names would be different for that 12 months. You don't trade from January to February. You hold for at least 12 months because you've got to give the plant time to grow. You've got to give the portfolio time to grow. Did I know that Filtronic would be up 142%? No, of course I didn't. If I knew that, I would have put everything in there and got 142% and not 58. Instead, in fact, I would have gone to Goldman Sachs and said, give me $10 million. I'll pay you back after a year at 8% interest. I'll give you back 800K at the end of the year. I would have made 142%. So I would have taken my 14 million in profits, given them their money back and still gone home with 13.2 million in profits at the end of the year, and would have just put it in Filtronics. Investing is about probabilities. If I had that guarantee or certainty, that's obviously what I would have done. We obviously don't have that guarantee, foresight, crystal ball, or certainty. And that's again where people go wrong. Those trying to convince you through their newsletters or otherwise, and their narratives and their stories, as opposed to specific items of data at the portfolio level, not here's a stock, I think it'll do well, that's my favorite for the year. Those who are trying to do it at the stock level are gambling, as Warren Buffett would confirm. Those doing it at the portfolio level are professional. They're fulfilling their duties to themselves, their old age, their pension, their families, their children, their spouses, because they're taking a professional approach. That's what we're about. That's the benefit of being a hedge fund manager and being able to teach people that. That's the benefit of, if you want a free copy of that book, one of 18 that I've published, international bestsellers, published by the Financial Times, amongst others, then go to alpeshpatel.com or campaignforamillion.com. Forgive me if I sound somewhat irate or, God forbid, arrogant about it. What I'm trying to say is actually the markets are incredibly humbling, which is why I say to you, I didn't know that Filtronic would go up 142%. I didn't know that we'd get this return. I didn't know it was going to be an up year. The only thing I knew is undervalued companies tend to perform better than overvalued ones. Growing companies tend to do better than ones which aren't growing. Companies with high sortinos tend to do better ones than ones without. Momentum tends to, but is not guaranteed to, continue, etc., etc. And then when we tick all of those boxes, we're still not guaranteed anything. But what we do know is then we've taken out all the things that could go wrong, and what should be left is a resilient portfolio. It's very simple in the end. If you'd like to learn more and like to see more of these, please save this video, please like it, please comment, because when you do that, the social media algorithm sends it to more people. If it sends it to more people, I get more viewers. Therefore, I do more of these for you. Okay, one final point. Would I still hold these into next year? No, well, why would I hold them into next year when we've got our January approved further filtered list, which is going to our clients as of, well, today. So why would I take something from 12 months ago? Simple as that. Think of stocks like fruit. If they've ripened and are on the floor for, having fulfilled their promise, then you can start with a fresh tree and fresh fruit. Why would you still play with the old fruit? Okay. So you could hold 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, but you don't need to. And for my clients, they'll get a fresh serving for those who are today looking to add to their portfolio. So we're not trading. Those who are happy, stay. Those who aren't, or have got fresh capital, they'd have a new model for the next 1, 2, 3 years. Simple. Thank you.